On Monday, May 13th, town meeting wrapped up its agenda by approving all articles on the warrant except for 2 citizens' petitions. Originally necessitating borrowing nearly $3 million, the town is now able to utilize existing funds to cover the expenses for a new fire engine and the design for the Public Works building expansion on Central Avenue. Let's turn to municipal producer Yushao Yuan for a recap of other notable discussions from the town meeting floor.
After years of advocacy, residents near the commuter rail stations finally see progress in noise reduction efforts. Town meeting approved $750,000 for a diagnostic review that will evaluate essential safety measures for trains to avoid sounding their horns at 5 public crossings in Needham. Precinct E member Philip Moray proposed referring the article back to the select board to explore alternatives, such as shortening the train line, citing MBTA ridership data which indicate over 60% of boardings occur at Junction and Hersey stations.
If Needham Junction was the last commuter rail stop, then trackage from the Heights up to at least Oak Street could be turned into a pedestrian and bike trail. Would this transformation cost as much as the Quiet Zone construction proposal?
Moray's motion failed to gain traction. Instead, Precinct E member Ed Cosgrove challenged its feasibility, expressing concerns over parking.
The Needham Junction station is already pretty full. If you move everybody who's getting on at the Heights and at the center, all of a sudden getting on at the Junction, you're going to have that many more cars.
Many members advocated for the improvement of their fellow residents' quality of life.
I live a half mile from 3 of these crossings. The train horns don't bother me. You might be someone who thinks the same thing, but that's a terrible reason to vote against this. This is something that we can do away with, whether it bothers you or not. This is what's best for the town.
A few members sought assurance on safety. Select Board member Marian Cooley affirmed not only would the future upgrades enhance safety, but train engineers would also retain the ability to sound the horn in emergencies. The annual appropriation for the infrastructure in Needham garnered unanimous approval, though concerns about pedestrian safety on Central Avenue resurfaced. Alongside the regular funding for town street, sidewalk, and intersection improvements, this year's request includes $250,000 for a stormwater plan and $225,000 to improve water quality in Alder Brook. Precinct D member Holly Clark spoke on behalf of residents near the Central Avenue and Charles River Street intersection, stating neighbors had previously approached the Traffic Management Advisory Committee regarding the absence of sidewalks and crosswalks in that area. Clark herself had raised this issue at a town meeting 2 years ago.
And they were asking, how their kids could safely get across the street. And they were told that there is already a list and they could go on the bottom and it would take about 40 years for them to get attention.
Select Board Chair Kevin Keane explained the newly formed Mobility Planning and Coordination Committee aims to establish a standardized process for prioritizing such projects. Town meeting overwhelmingly supported removing the age restriction in the affordable housing district. The establishment of the new zoning district had been approved during the previous sessions to facilitate the redevelopment of the Needham Housing Authority's Linden Chamber complex. While the current deed restriction limits occupancy to the elderly, the property also serves disabled tenants under the state law. Select Board member Kathy Dowd emphasized lifting the limit closed the loophole, making the project more appealing to external funders.
The NHA will be competing for scarce funding against many other projects from other cities and towns. If those projects are clean and have fewer risk factors like a title inconsistency, the state and private investors may choose them over Needham.
Dow assured future housing will prioritize elderly and disabled applicants.
In fact, 94% of the units will be 1 bedroom, and therefore more suitable for the elderly and disabled and not suitable for families. The building is also specifically designed around accessibility features.
Additionally, the town and NHA signed a memorandum of agreement reaffirming their commitment to elderly residents. The citizens' petition proposed by Precinct 9 member Joe Matthews advocating for the inclusion of attics and basements above a certain height in the floor area ratio calculation for the single resident B district was referred to the planning board for a report back to town meeting in 2025. During his 12-minute presentation, replete with photos and graphics, Matthews elaborated on the Needham's teardown issues, where homes are demolished to make way for significantly larger houses. He stressed most newly constructed houses have furnished basements and attics, yet these spaces are not treated as livable space in the zoning bylaw.
Overly permissive policy in residential zones enables and incentivizes the demolition of habitable and small medium houses in order to build houses with as much marketable square footage as possible.
Matthews acknowledged this bylaw change will not eliminate teardowns, but aims to reduce their pace and encourage smaller yet adequate homes for families, which could also be more affordable.
We should not use some examples of evolving taste or large households lead to a $3 million 6-bed, 6-bath house becoming the norm for Needham's smallest lots. It just makes no sense when we're dealing with this problem of affordability. Most original homes would be considered 1,800 to 2,500 square feet under this definition, meaning they could still be expanded by 25 to 100%. Under the current bylaw, they can be expanded in many instances by over 200%. A house of 3,800 square feet, which would be still below median size, is still a 4 or 5 bedroom house.
Precinct H member John Bullion made a motion to refer.
Refer this to the planning board, apply a reasonable process that includes everybody in the town.
Most people who spoke against the change and in favor of referring it agreed that the town should tackle the large house issue. However, they cautioned against unforeseen consequences.
You're going to create a whole series of existing nonconformings, and these houses that we hope to encourage for young families or middle-aged families. I was sort of middle-aged when I moved in. We hope for them to save them, renovate them. They're not going to be able to do anything.
It's worth noting that although the planning board had voted not to recommend the petition, former planning board member Jim McKnight, whose term ended in April, and current member Artie Crocker both rose to express support for it.
It's a good start. Then we'll come back and we'll make it perfect or better. But let's do something now.
Town meeting sent this article to the planning board for further study by a hand vote. Town meeting adopted the plastic ban put forward by Rob Fernandez and Kathy Reyes from the Green Needham Collaborative with near unanimous support. The ban prohibits restaurants and stores from providing styrofoam containers, single-use plastic stirrers, splash guards, and straws starting next year. The proponents removed the plastic water bottles from the banned items, citing supply and fiscal concerns from local businesses. Town meeting rejected a citizen petition to appropriate $150,000 for hiring a consultant to analyze the impact of the MBTA community's law on the town's infrastructure and school enrollment, as neither the Select Board nor the Finance Committee supported the article. For Needham Channel News, I'm Yu Xiaoyuan.